Prime Minister assures there is no change in status of Grenlec workers. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, December 30th, 2020, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell is assuring the nation that there is no change in the status of workers at the Grenada Electricity Services Limited, Grenlec. Dr. Mitchell also assures that the management structure of the company remains unchanged.
The same situation now exists until there is a decision as to how we're going forward. The manager is in place. We don't intend to do anything about that right now. The only change you have is the board of directors and who are in charge of the company would have to be modified. I don't even think a final decision has been made yet because the minister has to make recommendation. I don't think there's any worry about the workers at Grenlec. I hear concern about the workers worry about the status. I tell people, I believe you should have more confidence in your own people and your interests. Why would you think that a foreign individual, a family-owned business, would treat you better than your own government and people who you identify with at all levels? It seems to me that we have to drop the colonial mindset where we believe the foreign man with a different complexion is better than the local man. I really want us to move to another level.
In its press release formally announcing the WRB settlement on Tuesday, government also stated that it is already in discussion with international agencies to procure the services of a world-class management company to operate the utility. Today, the Prime Minister confirmed that, and I quote, "Until there is a decision as to how we are going forward, the manager is in place. We do not intend to do anything about that right now. The only change will be in the board of directors, but a final decision on that has not yet been made. The Minister of Public Utilities will have to make recommendations, then a final decision will be made." Unquote. The Prime Minister stands firm in his conviction that regaining control of Grenlec is one of the best decisions made by any government.
My legacy would be such that the decision on Grenlec, when all the facts have been given, some of the things we could not say before, we will be able to say it now. It will be shown that it would be one of the best decisions made by any government. Because I'm convinced the National Electricity Services, check the history of every country. Grenada was one of the few countries where a family-owned business from outside manage and control a national security asset. They could literally shut down this country and we couldn't do anything about it.
Dr. Mitchell stated further that the current administration is not opposed to foreign investment, as it too has divested some national assets. However, he states that the conditions of any privatization of state assets must protect the interest of the people. Dr. Mitchell believes that when the dust is finally settled, government will be praised for regaining control of this national asset, which is not just a simple asset, but a national security asset. Minister for Finance, Public Utilities, Energy, Physical and Economic Development Honorable Gregory Bowen says government's prudent fiscal management from 2013 to the present has contributed to its ability to raise the US $63 million to repurchase shares in the Grenada Electricity Company, Grenlec. Government said in a statement on Tuesday that it has repurchased shares in Grenlec in US $63 million settlement agreement with WRB Enterprises, thereby regaining control of the 50% shares sold to WRB in 1994, and also acquiring the 11.6% shares which WRB had purchased through an affiliate company. Minister Bowen gave the assurance that the money did not come from any third party of government, but from the government's financial sources, including the capital side of the 2020 budget. During a press conference Wednesday to address the settlement agreement, Minister Bowen explained that capital expenditure, which is part of government spending that goes into the creation of assets, can be moved around under the rules of the Public Finance Management Act. Minister Bowen further explained that under the Public Finance Management Act, money cannot be moved from capital expenditure to recurrent expenditure, and the repurchasing of the majority shares in Grenlec is considered a huge capital asset for government, one which is expected to bring tremendous benefit for the country. The finance minister added that the government will have to replenish funds from other government sources.
Replenish wherever the source of government funding, and being prudent managers, we are looking to replenish it. So whether it's income from IRD, Inland Revenue Department, or from the customs, or from assets sale, replenishing so that we come back and get a reserve to stage can happen from any source. Whether it's, you want to say, the sale of lands, etc., whether it's Livera, Mount Hartman, or in St. David, where we have 2 other projects going, sale of lands is sale of lands, it will go back into our reserve.
Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business and CARICOM Affairs, Honorable Oliver Joseph, says government reviewed all capital projects where money was not spent because of the lockdown due to COVID-19 to recoup money for this purpose.
And make it very simple. So you are recurrent and you are capital. On the capital side, if the government budget to spend $300 million for the fiscal year 2020 on capital projects, and at the end of the year, only $200 million was spent. Then you have $100 million that was unspent. You look to see if you have the cash, because when you have it in the budget, it's not cash yet. These are budgetary allocation. And at the end of the year, you look through every capital project to see where you did not spend. Because of the lockdown and the COVID situation, you look to see where you did not spend, and then you see if you have the cash, and that is where the money came from, the savings on the capital side of the budget.
Continuing the news, the Ministry of Health has recorded 3 new cases of COVID-19 in Grenada. All 3 cases are connected to employees from the cluster and are so far asymptomatic. 29 more previously positive individuals were medically cleared, bringing Grenada's total active cases to 20. The health team continues active testing to clear other individuals who have passed the incubation period, as well as others who are in some way connected to positive cases, so as to determine their present risk status. Contact tracing efforts are continuously underway, given the prevailing presence of the disease in several communities, where many are quarantined or under isolation. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Hey, are you gonna wear your mask today? You see everywhere you go, there are rules you got to follow, so don't you say COVID-19 will delay. Take the opportunity to save your community. Don't be that guy, put a mask on your face if you're heading outside. It's your life, my life, more lives will be taken if we don't try. If you feel any symptoms, call the hotline. Stay inside until you feel fine. 6 feet away every day. Keep COVID-19 far from away. Keep Grenada safe. Be COVID-19 smart.
Welcome back. A traveler's COVID-19 test fee will be implemented effective January 1st, 2021 for all arriving travelers to Grenada. Travelers are required to pay US $150, which is equivalent to 410 EC dollars, which will cover their 4-day test or any test taken while on island. Children under 5 years of age are exempt from taking any coronavirus test in Grenada. The fee can be paid ahead of their trip online via pay.gov.gd. The Ministry of Health says if they're unable or unwilling to pay through the online system ahead of the trip, all incoming passengers will be required to make this fee or to make the payment of the fee at the Morris Bishop International Airport upon arrival. Although this has been a plan in place since Grenada reopened its borders in July, it has so far only applied to individuals in home quarantine. Up until now, all other travelers have been tested at the expense of the state. In addition, beginning January 1st, geofencing devices will be available for travelers in home quarantine or at designated smaller hospitality accommodations so that those individuals can be actively and continually monitored. The US $55 or 150 EC dollar payment for the devices can also be completed online via the same site pay.gov.gd or upon arrival at MBIA. Finally, in the news, 4 Grenadians will be awarded the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire on Her Majesty the Queen's New Year Honours List. Mrs. Beryl Isaac for contribution to public services, Mrs. Augustina Steele for community service, Mr. Leo Gobert for contribution to the hotel industry, and Mrs. Helena Patrice for services to education and the community. Her Majesty has also approved the award of the British Empire Medal to Mr. Thaddeus Claudius Pear for his contribution to agriculture and the late Mr. Winston Esau David for his contribution to culture. That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, December 30th. Before we go, just a reminder to you members of the general public that the imposed 14-day curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. is still in effect until January 3rd, 2021. As you enjoy your New Year's holiday, please be mindful of the protocols and regulations in place for your safety. Let's recap the top story. Prime Minister assures there is no change in status of Grenlec workers. On behalf of the entire news and production team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.